It was a really nice event today, and I think it's fantastic that UBS are doing so many events around Formula One, because for me it's very nice to come away from the racetrack and meet other women in business, and I think ultimately we all share the same story. We're all facing the same challenges. I think, of course, I'm always going to come up against various barriers because there hasn't been a successful female in Formula One for so long, but ultimately I'm racing and trying to break through in Formula One because I love racing. I want to be a racing driver. So for me, the whole gender aspect I don't focus on so much. I am a racing driver regardless of my gender, and I'm trying to break into one of the top levels of motorsports. So nobody said it was ever going to be easy. It's certainly tough, but it's tough for many of the good drivers coming through. I think Bernie ultimately is a fan of a female breaking into Formula One. Commercially, it's the one thing still left to happen, and certainly behind the scenes he's been very supportive of me in the Williams team. So I think ultimately his comment, it doesn't sound so great because it doesn't matter what you look like as a racing driver, you just got to be fast. For example, after the test day I did in July, he called me to check how it went and to ask if everything was okay. So I think he sometimes gets misquoted and it's interpreted in the wrong way, but he has made Formula One what it is today. So I think he realises that a woman on the grid would be a huge asset. I think it's not something you can tick off and say, okay, I've achieved it or not. It's a work in progress. You're never going to be able to turn around and say, I've shown what a woman can do. It's always going to be about progressing, advancing, trying to improve yourself. I had a very good test in July. I proved that I could be on the pace and complete many laps on track. Off the track, you have Claire Williams, Deputy Team Principal at Williams. You have Manisha Kaltenborn, Principal at Sauber. I think slowly but surely women are coming to the forefront in Formula One, and for me it's very nice to come to events like this with UBS where I meet women in business, because ultimately we're all facing the same challenges. Within motorsport, of course, you get many women saying you're doing a great job and carry on, and it's so nice to see you on track. And even at events like this, you get women saying it's very inspirational to hear your story, and they can relate to it from their working environment. So these things are all really nice for me, but ultimately I still have a long way to go. I still have a lot that I want to achieve, so I'm still working hard. It's not his decision ultimately, it's the team's decision who drives in the race car, and obviously there's many young drivers and very good drivers out there just now all trying to break into Formula One. So I'm in that fight. I'm also trying to break in. I would like to be on the grid. I would like to be starting a race weekend, and that's what I'm working towards. Of course, I need the super license to start on the grid, so that's the next logical step. It's probably going to be on the cards for next year. There's no point to do it now, but it's something I look at for next year. First of all, I'm incredibly lucky to have such a supportive husband. I don't think there's many men who would be supportive of their wives getting in a Formula One car out on the racetrack. But when I'm on the racetrack, he can't help me anymore. He can't help me go faster. It's not like he's sitting in the passenger seat changing gear for me. So as much as I'm incredibly lucky to have his support off the track, it's up to me to perform in the car, and ultimately I have to perform, and if I don't perform, I'm out, and there's nothing he can do to help me. But I wouldn't be egoistical enough to say that I could have done it without him. I'm lucky to have him by my side, and I'm the first to admit that. I think you have to be very fit. After having driven the car in Silverstone, it's clear how much G-force, particularly your neck, takes going around the corners. And we're all on very strict training regimes, and you have to train hard, otherwise you wouldn't be able to cope in the race car. And certainly on this weekend in Singapore, it's one of the toughest races of the season. I know a lot of drivers have been preparing a lot for this race weekend, so they're really going to have their work cut out on Sunday evening.